What's up, guys? It's Chris Angel coming at you with Jeff Bernheisel. Hi, Jeff.
Hello, hello.
I should say, welcome back to another episode of the Lumen Project. That's the normal intro. I got to tell
We
you, I
are on.
love doing a one take. We're a one take show. We don't go in there and start messing around with stuff.
People say you edit this, and I'm like,
There's no editing.
editing's editing's
No
for pussies.
editing. Yeah,
That's an
yeah. Real
insight.
real men don't edit. We're real men.
I've always been that way though. Like whenever I do anything with my videos, like if I mess up bad enough with like if I'm recording something for for my day job or whatever, if I mess something up bad enough, or if my dogs start barking at the mailman or something crazy, like I'll start over, but
Yeah.
I don't edit it. I
Nice.
like I'd rather just go shit and I'll hit delete and I'll start over.
Start over. Yeah, yeah, no. That's a workflow, dude. Workflow. You
Yep.
get me stuck in an editor. It takes forever to listen to something and cut out the dead spaces and the things, and it totally like more than doubles your work time. And then you
Yep.
gotta
And then
save
I'm
it,
not happy
export
with
it,
it.
upload it.
And I'm never happy with it because it's got if I splice something out or whatever, like I'm like, that just sucks. And then I start over anyways.
Yeah. Speaking of splicing, coming to the end of a new year, this has actually nothing to do with splicing. We come to the end of the new year. I think it's a great time to be thinking into what lessons we learned in the last year. I know I do. Start to think, well, what are my big takeaways this year, and then what am I looking in forward to or looking to create in the next year. So it could be interesting to explore, how goal setting, vision, maybe in some ways that aren't what everybody knows. Like you and I can kind of dig into some of the things that are off the beaten path about goal setting and purpose and um,
Yeah. I
where it
think we
goes.
both have our little like madness, I know to use one of
Yeah,
your terms,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
methods of madness. And I mean, we were talking about it earlier, like we talked about it a little bit on the last episode, and it's at the end of every year, I kind of go through this, I call it an exercise
Mm.
where I do some reflection. And what we talked about last time on our last podcast episode was where I reflect on the people in my life specifically. And
Right.
now today we're going to talk about goal setting, being purposeful with your goal setting and the direction and things you want to accomplish versus the people. And I can touch on the people part is basically just I look at back and I'm like, all right, who was involved in my life? And I'll go through the whole process here in a minute, maybe, but who was involved in my life? Did they bring value, joy? Do I want to keep them or not? And it sounds kind of harsh to say, but some of my friends, some of the people that are in our lives, people that you meet earlier in the year, like, you grow apart or they only call you when they need something or whatever. Like those people, at the end of the year when I'm going through this little exercise, I'm like, they didn't bring joy. They only call me when they need me. I'm not going to reach out to them anymore. Like I'm in my mind, kind of just cutting them out.
Yeah. 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 That's cool. I like that. I like that. I think some of us, I think it's very common for humans to carry the past forward, whether that's a relationship from the past. We're like, oh, well, these are my friends, which by the way is fine. I mean, if they're your friends, fine. But
Yeah.
I love the idea that we actually have a say in how we top grade, how we be purposeful, which is part of sort of the conversation here. How do we be purposeful with not only the goals that we set, but the environment in which we get to pursue those goals? Like how do you be purposeful with the environment, the conditions, the rhythm, the calendar, all the be purposeful.
Mhm. And,
Don't
and last
yeah,
last week was more about the network that we build and
yeah.
being purposeful around that. And I mean, that is part of looking forward into this next year. I think I said it last time too. Like I've never actually done that where
Hmm,
I'm being purposeful about the network that I'm trying to build. Like
hmm.
we are, or at least I am. I
Yeah,
think you are as well. This
yeah.
coming year, like that
Right.
that has become part of this new. That's a new part of what I what I have done in the past.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Hmm. That's good.
really what I used to do and what I still do, but on any given day here, it's I'm in Portland. I think everybody knows that, but it's drearful this time of year.
Yeah.
So, drearful is that a word? Dreadful. The weather
Dreary
is
and dreadful. Drearful.
yeah, I just made up a word there, I think.
It's a
Drearful,
conjunction.
drearful. Anyway, it gets dark at like 5 o'clock and it's cold and it's windy and it's nasty. What I would love to do, which I now can, is I bought a little like fire pit table thing. I've got a covered patio, and I just will take a glass of whiskey and go sit by the fire and just stare at the fire,
Hmm.
drink some whiskey, and I just reflect. And this is what I told you earlier, like
Hmm.
I try to do this over a several day window on various parts of my life. You know, the people typically one part, and then my goals, what I want to do business wise,
Hmm.
and then whatever else comes from that. But
Hmm.
basically, just
Hmm.
don't go anywhere, don't do anything, just kind of lock myself at home. It's not like I lock myself in my basement, but depends on the weather outside, I guess.
Yeah.
But just go sit there, bundle up, have a little bit of whiskey, and just sit there and stare and reflect. And I look at the people in my life, like I said just a second ago, like, do they bring me joy? And honestly, in the past, I've actually just gone through the connections in my phone and I will just delete people out.
Hmm.
And it sucks because then, every once in a while, like 6 months will go by and somebody will text or call, and I have no shame in my game of saying, like, who is this? Because every year I go through this process where I just delete people out of my life that I haven't heard from forever.
Yeah.
And clearly I haven't heard from you in a while. Like,
So I know if you text me back, who is this? I know I've been relegated.
new phone, who's this? It was funny that happened a couple months ago, and this lady was like, "I knew you were going to say that," but she got a new phone, so technically it was. But anyway, I
Wait,
sit
wait.
there
So
and
are
I'm
you
like, all
doing
right,
this? Are you doing this fire staring at the end of the year or every month, every week? How often are you doing
so
this?
I do this typically like the last week of December. So it
Okay.
is going to be next week for people are going to be listening to this probably during the week that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I always try to do it in the final week because I typically have that week off from Christmas to New Year's.
Right.
My mom will come and visit for a couple days, and then when my mom leaves, I clean the house and I just want to be alone
Mm-hmm.
with my own thoughts for a few days. We have a ton of leftovers, so I don't have to go anywhere to get food. I don't need to go anywhere. I kind of just like I turn my phone off and I just need to be alone, and I sit and do this exercise. And it's really just going through the people in my life, what I went through throughout the year. I kind of just reflect on the whole thing, starting in January, February,
Yeah.
work related, relationships, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, almost to break it down, like, do I want to keep doing that? Yes or no?
Do
Do
you
I
journal
want to
about it or do you just kind of mentally go through it?
I just mentally go through it? I just the way my brain works. Like, I
Yeah.
don't
No, that's
really
the right way to do it. I'm just curious how you do it.
kind of just chew on things in my head, but I kind of just, and it's a really like I'm laughing because I'm saying cleansing. We were just
Yeah.
talking about a different type of cleanse, but
Yeah.
it's
Cleansing.
a very like cleansing
Mm.
thing for me to do because I get sidetracked with projects. I get sidetracked with all sorts of crazy shit that I do in my life. And I literally have to think, do I want to keep doing that? Is it bringing me joy?
Mm.
Yes or no? And if
Mm.
it's no,
Mm.
I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's dumb. Stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and same, people, projects. I can't really do that with a job. You can be like, I don't like this job anymore. I mean, you can, but that's a different topic. Um, but that's kind of it. I mean, it sounds like I don't want to oversimplify it or overcomplicate it either way, but it's a really simple process to me of just thinking, do I enjoy this? Yes or no?
Dude,
And if
you've
yes,
Kamari'd your life. Isn't it Kamari?
the
The
late what's
Marie Kondo
yeah,
Kondo
yeah,
method.
whatever
Does
she
this
is.
piece of clothing bring me joy?
Yeah, and that's
Right.
that's funny because when I mean she became like really popular like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody said that they're like, "Oh, you Marie Kondo, is that her name? Like
Yeah.
you Marie
Marie
Kondo
Kondo. Yes.
this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, it's the same. It is the same exact process,
That's
except
great.
for
I love
she's holding up like a shirt and going, "Does this shirt bring me joy? Yes or no?
that.
If yes,
Yeah.
you keep it. If no, you throw it away. It's the
Love
same
that.
same
That's
exact thing."
great. Should
And then
retitle this
and then
episode
this
now.
year, yeah, the Marie Kondo of purposeful goal setting. But this year we're being a little more. purposeful about things
Yeah.
because I want to build, like we have goals with the Lumen Project
Yep.
and the network we're building and some of the stuff. So not only am I going through and saying, all right, I'm cleansing and getting rid of the shit that I don't want to do anymore, but then I have to shift gears and go, okay, now here's what I do want to focus on.
Yep.
And then gear that around in my little hamster wheel of a brain and get that going and come up with a plan,
Yeah.
setting goals. That's where, I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing with the framework stuff for a while. And so, like I was talking about a little bit ago, like just getting back to the basics of setting the goals, setting the tactics, um, doing the calendar thing. So,
Yeah.
what do you call that? Like time blocking, basically. If something's in my calendar, I'll do it religiously. And for the last 6 months or so, I haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
So literally can go to working out, walking the dog, whatever it may be. If
Yeah.
it's in my calendar, I wake up and I look at my calendar. I'm like, oh, there's my to-do list today. And I will do everything on that list. And if it's not on there, it doesn't typically get done, or I'll put it off, or I'll put it off. That's why I haven't uploaded 7 of our last YouTube videos. Hasn't been in my calendar.
Have you found as you've gotten old, whether it's you've gotten older or wiser or both, that you have different, do you approach your goals, the implementation of your goals differently? Like when you hit January, February, do you notice any difference in how you go about your goals?
Yeah, so it's funny. I used to always say like I don't do the like New Year's resolutions, because everybody sets up their goals January, January 2nd. We were just talking about this. January 2nd, I'm starting. And
Yeah.
then January 2nd comes along, and then the third and then the fourth, and then a week or two later, and you're like, I didn't really start. So I guess I'm screwed. Like, so I always say like I don't do the resolutions
Yeah.
in the same way that a lot of people do, where they're like, I want to lose 10 pounds this year. I do it the way I've done it with the framework, which I guess you could say it's the same damn thing. I set a goal, but I also set a goal, then I set my all the way down to like, this is what I need to do on a daily basis to hit that goal. These are the tactics, the
Yeah.
daily tactics that I have to do, knowing that I want to hit that.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. It's the same, I guess, at the end of the day. We both set goals, resolution goal,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I break it down to daily tactics.
Right.
And then if I put it in my damn calendar,
Yeah.
it actually gets.
It's interesting. I feel like I'm 47 now, and I feel like the last my midlife crisis was 3 years ago, and I feel like now how I really moved into like what I would call a place of surrender or allowing. And so goals for me on this side of that, doing it that way feels so different. It's like I have a desire, which you could call a goal, but I have a desire, and then I will um encourage that desire. I'll continue to think about it. I'll walk the hills behind my house with my dogs and dream about it and things. And then I'll just kind of look for what's the next thing I want to do. It's like I already have things in motion, but then I'm like, so what's the next community to build? Who's the next partner? Who's the like what is there a logo to build? And I'm kind of like letting the project point me in a direction rather than what I used to do when I was younger was I would be like, these are all the things the to-do list I had to do, and then I'm not great with to-do lists because it feels the rebel in me hates being told what to do. So I'm like, don't fucking tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Even
and
if it
it's,
was me
I mean,
telling me what to do on a to-do list.
right. I guess I was thinking, I'm like, I didn't technically answer your question. So it has changed as I've gotten older. I don't know if the wiser thing is coming into play yet. Uh, but as I've gotten older and possibly wiser, my priorities have shifted. And so I used to do goal setting where I'd be like, this is what I want to do this year. And I just have this like big, huge, I want to open a whiskey bar this year. Like that was
Right?
one
Yeah.
of
Right.
them.
Right. Right. You totally did that. Yeah.
How do I get there? I don't know. I'll figure it out. And that was kind of always my thing.
Mm,
And so now I'm way more tactical, I guess is maybe a good word. I'm way more tactical about it. And strategic is probably the best word.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I might set this big, huge, hairy, audacious goal, but then I break it down and get all the way down to a daily tasks. And so that's changed a lot since probably about the same time. It's been since 2019 when I kind of got out of the funk and realized this is what I need to do now,
Yeah.
because what I was doing before wasn't working anymore, which was just being like, here's my goal. Like, you know, January 1st, sometime this year, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
Like that, I think that's what a lot of people do. They're like, in 2024, I want to whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, sounds great, and that's motivating to some people, but I think as we get older and priorities change and our lives get busier and this and that, we have to define it and break it down and then have our daily steps to get there.
That's, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm the opposite of that, but I definitely think I can see where I share some of those and then where I don't. Like, I think for me, I'll have a desire, I'll chunk it down. So, for example, like I'll have like, I want 1 million members of conscious communities, right? And I've chunked that down into how many brands have how many chapters, have how many members. So in my head, I kind of always know the game I'm playing, but I don't. I'm like, maybe it could be because I'm just tired. Like, at 47, I'm like, I'm just not willing to. Creating a bunch of tasks to do every day feels exhausting to me. And I think you and I are wired differently that way. Like, you're very good at being um, task oriented on things. Like, you've said many times that you're efficient with things. Like, you can just blow through stuff. You're good that way. I'm like, that's exhausting. I'm like, I'm a shiny object, big idea guy who wants to keep his head in the clouds a lot of times. So I'm only saying this. I'm not trying to challenge you, Jeff. I'm saying this for those listeners who have their heads in the cloud and they're like, I can never seem to get the all the stuff done that I lay out as a task. I'm like, yeah, me too. So I just know what needs to get created, and then I stay really open to the things in a day and a week that come alongside of me that support that thing being created.
What I love about all of this stuff is there's no right or wrong way. It's kind of what works best for you.
Yeah.
And I will agree with you. My brain, and it's a blessing and a curse because I mean, good example. Like I'll wait because because I am so efficient with things. Like I have a task list, 30 projects that I'm working on at any given time. And I can look and go, all right, this week, it's a short week. I'm taking Friday off. So I've got 4 days to get 5 days worth of stuff done. So I'm
Right.
breaking it down to, and then I'm like, oh, I can kind of fuck off for a day or two, knowing that on Wednesday, I can go blow through that whole task list and get it all done.
Right. Nice.
Whereas, I mean, and like, that's not ideal for most people. That's just how I work. And when I say fuck off, I don't mean like I'm out,
Yeah.
skiing. It's not even ski season yet, but like, I'm not out doing other things. I'm still working, but it's just like I know I have these things looming, and I could go work on them now, but I can wait. I can wait. It's procrastination,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I always get it done, and I always, if there's a deadline or whatever, I will almost always hit it. But I don't know the point of that. I guess is it's different for everybody.
I feel like you
What
had
I'm
to
in
say the
for-
you're not skiing thing as a CYA clause in the conversation. You were like, "Hey, just for public record, so because we're recording, I just want anybody listening to know that when I say fuck off, I don't mean I took a day off and went skiing. I'm just
Yeah,
covering my
skiing.
ass right now.
Funny. I'm
I'm
like I
still
haven't
working.
skied.
Those of you listening, I'm still working.
They're working right. I haven't skied for years, but I used to do that back in the day when, there
Nice.
were times when I'm like, we got a bunch of new snow coming tomorrow. Like I can
Yeah.
put this off for a couple days and I'd
Right.
go skiing.
Right. Yeah.
It's
No, I think
different.
that's good. I think I'm kind of excited that the day and age we live in here, where I think there's a lot of people questioning um, traditional advice. Where it's like, I'm not saying smart goals aren't a good strategy for goal setting and being purposeful with your goals, but I do think there's a lot of group think about smart goals. Like, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, smart goals," and then we all just sort of regurgitate the same old, like, uh, guru wisdom. And I think there's just a lot of people who are like, "Yeah, but is that the only way to be purposeful about my vision and my goals?" And people are exploring, you know, their own way of doing it, which I think is
Yeah.
cool. I think that's cool.
And I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Like I
Yeah.
think you're like me. I know in this sense of like we get tired of the gurus. We get tired of people telling
Yeah.
us this is the way it has to be done. And because then we can go like, well, actually it isn't. And here's how I want to do it, or here's
Yeah.
what's worked for me in the past or whatever. Like it's the same way for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smart goals or I mean,
Yeah.
what I have built for myself works really well. And when I've shared it with people, if like, there have been people that have looked at it and just go like, yeah, this, I'm not going to do this every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Cool.
think that's the cool part about the Lumen Project is I'm so excited to begin to compare notes and hear how other people are thinking about not only their purpose and their goals, how they're organizing their life to accomplish it. I'm really interested in that. But all the other things that all the other traditional wisdom guys like us are wanting to and are existingly challenging. You know what the questions I'm asking are tend to be you know uh, questions a lot of people don't ask. And I'm excited to find the other guys who are asking the same kind of questions I'm asking because I kind of feel like I sometimes feel like I can be stuck in a world where there's a bunch of men who want to mansplain to me how to set SMART goals. And I'm like, dude, don't tell me how to set SMART goals. I took that class and taught that class 12 years ago. Don't tell me how to
Right.
set a SMART goal as if you
That's
have the
more
holy grail of an answer. Like there's more ways to this than how you're mansplaining it to me.
right.
It's like I'm interested in the guys who are asking questions that aren't being asked by anybody else. That's what I want to know. Like, let's go have that conversation.
And I love the little bit of a pivot, we'll call it a pivot, but leading into our businesses as well. So like we do this
Yeah,
in our personal lives, and then as we shift a little bit, my dog is just driving me insane right now.
we can't hear him. So, but it's
You
fun
can't
to
hear?
watch you. You're like, oh, what is
I'm
Jeff
just
doing?
moving.
Why is Jeff walking around his room?
He's like biting at me. And I'm just gonna move down here because he's gonna get up and flap, and then everything will be fine.
Nice.
Um,
Set
we
some boundaries.
do this like just figure it out, dude. We do this pivot where we started talking about the purpose and profit events and
Yeah,
how
yeah,
we're
right.
going to integrate networking and our businesses into some of this stuff too, and like building a better network of people that
Yeah,
are trying to do that. And I love, like I said it earlier too. I love taking the two things and smashing them together and like helping people be better, better humans like in general, and then helping people be better at their business and their marketing and their growth and all of that stuff. Like those are the two things that drive me.
yeah.
And so part of what I'm looking forward to next week when we're doing this, I say we, like everybody's going to do it with me.
Yeah.
When I am doing my reflection and everything next week is really simplifying my life and then taking those two things and like those are going to be my focus. And I need, with your help, especially to get
Mhm,
better at not doing all of the crazy things that come up and literally just focusing on these few things
mhm.
because I know we can, this community and what we're building is going to be amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to, I have to go make the purposeful decision to put all of my energy into that versus, a month in going, oh, like I could go do this again. I could go do this again. Like I do that all the time. I've always
That's
done
cool,
that.
dude. That's
And
really
I am
good.
trying to get better at being
Yeah,
less distracted. If
yeah,
distracted isn't a good word, but like
yeah.
I just need to focus more.
No, that's really good. You remember in there's one of the Thor movies where he's holding the star and they're having to forge a new Stormbreaker. That his hammer has been lost and he has to forge
Yeah.
a new weapon and he's basically trying to hold a star and he's all this like there's a lot of energy. It doesn't look like he's doing much other than, squinting his face and flexing, but like there's all this energy he's doing just to contain what's coming through him. And when I think about what you when you just said that, it reminded me of like so much of me being purposeful about my goals is 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 being very intentional to not chase all the goddamn things I want to chase.
Yeah.
I can feel it in any given day. There's an urge to go hustle, and I'm like, I'm not going to hustle. And then it takes a lot of restraint to sit my ass down and take a breath, um, not this is like the opposite of what I used to do. I used to just rush in and go do a million things, and I'm like so purposeful about not doing hardly anything. And that's so
Wait,
counterculture as a man, because as a man, it's like, you're supposed to work the plow, like get out in the field and dust till dawn, like go. And
that's what I
I'm
was
not
gonna ask.
doing that.
Does it feel, because when I do this, and this has been a new thing for me this last year, and I would say very much so in the last like 6 months, especially, I've been having this like internal dialogue with myself of like, I feel like I'm being lazy.
Right.
even though I'm being more intentional and purposeful. But part of me is going like, you're just using that as an excuse. You're being lazy. You need to get out there and do this and do that. And then
Dude, I
I'm,
love that you're asking that. I mean, yeah, I think that's hardwired into us as men. Like, you know, more so as men. I think our culture does that, period. But I think as men, it's like, don't be lazy. You're like we can get criticized for it. People will judge us for it. We'll judge ourselves for it. But I, um, I think for me anyway, there was a real when I had to start to realize like, okay, my vision is bigger than me, so I can't get it all done. And if I can't get it all done, then why am I breaking my back hustling? What to do what? To get 7% done instead of 5% done? I'm not gonna, it's bigger than me anyway. So what if I spend more of my time being in alignment energetically with what I would call my higher self or source or the universe? If I could spend some time energetically putting myself in a place of feeling good and being sharp mentally about the things I'm intending, but not having to go. It's in some ways it's sharpening the axe, right? It's like, don't just go beat down a bunch of trees with a dull axe. Like, me sitting still and being aligned energetically is me sharpening my axe, so that when I swing my axe, I get stuff done.
that's a way better way of saying what I was trying to say when I'm saying I'm fucking around on any given day. I'm not skiing. I'm like, I might be watching YouTube videos or trainings or or
Sure.
just learning, reading, whatever I'm doing,
Yeah.
knowing that in a day or two when I need to get the work done, like my axe is going to be fully sharpened, my mind will be 100% ready, and I
Yep.
can just go crank it out,
Yep.
way faster than if I tried to just do it every day or do a chunk of it every day or whatever. Like that, you said it way more uh succinctful, I guess is a good.
Yeah. I mean, I I think having there was a book written years ago, several years ago. I didn't read it. I just saw the cover and I got the concept right away because I felt like it put words to things I had been playing with, experimenting with, which was the book was called Margin. Did you ever hear of this book, Margin? It kind of circled around the real estate industry for a while because I think Joe Stump or maybe Brian Buffini or Ninja Lee, I can't remember. Somebody, one of the companies was talking about. Anyway, but it was all about like how, creating margin in your calendar, creating space in your calendar.
Yeah.
And it's common and probably rewarded to cram your calendar full of nonstop productivity. And the idea of creating space or margin, like dead space, space where you're not doing anything, is counterculture. It's like, what?
Right.
And if you're not used to it, it takes getting used to. It takes like to sit still, to stare in the flames, like you said, with your fire pit, at the end of like that's okay for you at the end of the year. But the idea of doing that on a daily or weekly basis could, for some people, could feel like, that feels like I'm wasting time.
Yeah, it's so we used to call my one of my previous jobs, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but at one of my previous jobs, my manager called me one day out of the blue and he said, "Hey, bring your Xbox controller and Madden over to my place. We're having a mental health day." And
Nice.
this was like in the middle of one of our busiest times when we had a million projects going on. And he called me and I was like, "Are you messing with me?" Like, I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." He basically said, "Bring your Xbox controller, Madden." He's like, "I'm gonna order some pizza. Bring some whiskey if you want it, but we're having a mental health day." He said, "I need it, and I'm
Nice.
pretty sure you need it as well."
Nice.
And so I got over there and I brought everything he told me to, and I get over there and I'm kind of like, "What in the hell is happening right now?" And he's like, "I'm serious, man. He's like, we've been grinding so hard for the last like 6 months." And he's like, "I know you're like me where you can't turn your brain off when you've got these projects and these problems.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just go, 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 go." And he's like, I lost it and I need a day to just relax and let my brain vegetate and not think about work."
Right. Yeah.
We sat there and had some whiskey and had some pizza and played video games for, I don't know, like 6 hours.
Wow.
And then the next day we were back at it. And I mean, it was like one of the most refreshing things that I'd ever gone through. And so we started doing that at least once a quarter with our whole team. We would have a mental health day where we would pack up and go, we would go to like a, I don't know if you guys have it, and I forget the name of the place off the top of my head, but it's like an arcade, um, bowling alley, like Big Al's
Okay.
bowling alley arcade situation. We would just go there, screw around, have lunch, have some drinks, relax as a team,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
go back at it the next day. And like just in doing that, if it's once a quarter, once a month, whatever,
Yeah.
like I said, it was the most refreshing thing. So I do that every once in a while. I'll have days where, not to say like right now I make up shit on my calendar, but I'll usually just put it on my calendar, like out of office for 3 hours because I'm gonna go
Yeah.
watch a movie by myself or whatever it may be. Even if it's something simple like that, like
Good. Yeah. That's good.
just going and watching a movie by yourself at the theater alone. Like I do that every once in a while.
I use Calendly for when people are scheduling appointments with me. And I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have like 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. blocked. Like it's busy in my calendar, but there's no appointment. Like but nobody can schedule in that time.
Yeah.
And I'll sleep in. I mean, sleeping in for me is probably like 7:30, but I wake up and I make coffee and I have a snuggle with my dogs on the couch and I watch YouTube videos or read stories, read some news updates. And I'm cool with it. It's great for me. I love it. I could see a time in my past where I might have judged myself as like, dude, you got to make money, dude. You're a money maker. You're a rainmaker. You can't be sitting here for, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2, 3 hours on the couch. And I'm like, at 47, I'm like, screw that. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do to manage my energy so that I'm, sharp for the times that it matters.
It's literally like when you said that, I just envisioning myself like sitting on the couch with an axe, sharpening it, just
Yeah,
vegetating,
uh-huh.
watching TV. I don't watch TV, but if I did, or
That's
play video games or whatever, like so that when the time comes, you're ready. That's all I mean,
I mean,
staring
it's
into the
great because
fire.
I don't doubt on this side of all that I feel like life has brought me through. I don't doubt myself. I don't doubt what I'm capable of. And probably some of that's probably because I think I'm really good now at staying in my lane. I think there's a lot of years where my goals and my purposeful goal setting and vision um, asked me to do things outside my lane and I sucked it up like okay well that's what I got to do to be successful but as I've gotten older I just keep squeezing all the things that if I'm gonna do anything it's gonna make I'm gonna damn sure it's in my lane
Yeah.
and
When it's funny, because we've
yeah
been on this call together, I've been thinking like, I'm already starting the damn process. Like, what did I accomplish this year? Personal, professional, mind, body, the 4 pillars of what I do. I'm like, I don't think at the end of last year, like I don't want to say I was in a funk, but a little bit of a funk. I just didn't have the clarity. That
mm,
was about the time that you and I reconnected.
mm,
And I'm like, I don't think I actually set like goals for this year,
huh, wow
which is probably, I want to say probably good. It's good. Like I clearly didn't hit them because I didn't have any. So I'm like, I'm looking forward to next year to actually setting the big old hairy
yeah
goals
yeah
and then breaking them down and tackling them. But yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, what did I accomplish anything this year? I'm like, I accomplished a bunch of random shit,
yeah yeah
but
yeah
not like any
yeah
big things
yeah
like normal.
But side note on that, like that makes me think of just like the whole, when you're farming and you kind of let the ground lay fallow for a year or two, like you just let it rest.
Yeah,
And I like to have a year where you're not setting a goal. And I can hear an internal conversation with somebody being like, I gotta set a goal. I gotta set a goal. Who am I? Who am I if I hadn't set a goal? Like, and all of a sudden we have all this like chatter that's dictating what goal, and it's not even the goal you would have set anyway. It's the goal that is your chatterbox is the one chirping at you to set a goal, and you're like, do you even know if this is your goal or not? Is this
yeah,
even your goal, or is this some goal that's coming from your childhood or from your parents or your spouse or your boss? Is this even your life you're living? You
yeah.
know?
This has been interesting 10 minutes in the back of my head because I'm like, man, I got my job at Breakthrough Broker at the end of last year, and I
Yep.
was kind of at that place where I was like, all right, new job, new, I was dating somebody at the time, like there was a lot of newness, and I just didn't. I'm thinking back in December, I'm like, did I just not? I just skipped over that whole
Wow.
process. I guess I'm sure I went through the looking backward and cutting out some of the stuff because I have done that every year, but yeah, I didn't like set any new goals or set out to accomplish anything big this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
this group, the Lumen Project grew from you and I reconnecting, and I had this idea that I wanted to
Hmm.
create this entity. It was called something else at the time, but like this has spawned from that. So not to say I haven't accomplished anything, but like I just didn't set out to do what we have done here. And there was no,
Hmm.
and that kind of freaks me out because I'm like, how do I define my success? Was this year a success? I fucking don't know.
That's
I mean,
interesting.
it was a success. I'm still breathing. I'm still here. Like life is
Yeah.
good.
I don't
So
know.
I
I
would
mean,
say,
yeah,
but,
that's interesting. Can it be,
we're,
can you have success if you didn't point to it and define it? Can it be
yeah, like
successful?
if you don't know what the definition of success is, can you say I had a successful year?
I mean, if you just look backwards at the deliverables, like we have a podcast, right? We have 12, 13, 18. I can't remember how many episodes we have. We have 15
Yeah.
episodes. This is 16. This is episode 16. We have all kinds of um foundation that you and I have set. I looked at my notes just now, like March 28th was my first dated set of notes with you. Like, so we have 9 months
Yeah.
of
That's what I mean. Like we've
conversations. Like,
clearly accomplished things, but like I didn't set out to do these things just happened, which I think goes back to what you were saying of like the
yeah,
surrendering part,
right,
right? Like
right. But you
the
did have
universe is
purpose, though. You did have intention. You had a dream, a desire, an intention for making a difference for men and be sharing light and shining light for other. I mean, you had, and that's the interesting part. Is like you had intention, and and as you honored that intention, things started to show up and things got built, and you can't even think of what goal you set for them. Like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
So maybe I should just not set goals again this year.
we're retitling this episode all over again. Like, do not set goals.
Yep. Screw your goals.
uh, I mean,
Uh
but that's the kind of stuff, like I said in the beginning, where it's like challenging the normal wisdom of like the day, where you think, oh, everybody just thinks like goal setting is the shit, and maybe, but maybe not. Like, or in what way does goals fit with the conversation we're having? How does goals fit with
yeah,
the conversation we're having?
because I literally just proved your point, I think, when I look back and was like, man, I didn't do that. And I mean, clearly we still made a lot happen and there's some really good stuff going on. So
I mean, that's interesting. How
yeah.
many times do we set goals and create all kinds of tasks for ourselves to do, and that just stresses us out? And did it make the difference? Did it? I don't know. Did it not make? What if you hadn't done that?
You know what's funny is I'm looking back and I can say when I do these goal setting things, and I won't call it even an activity, like the goal setting activity, the framework that I've built around the mind, body, business relationships, I have what I would call what I do call a vision. Like I have a,
Yeah, yeah,
you can do a 10-year, 5-year, and a 1-year vision. Like I have these visions, and I
yeah,
think those are kind of our North Star
yeah,
guiding lights.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm doing whatever the universe is going to let me or want me to do to get to that vision.
yeah,
But it's funny because I think typically when people say goal setting, you're like, that comes down to saying like, I want to lose 10 pounds in a month. Like that's a goal
right,
versus the vision of me looking in a mirror and going, man, I'm pretty happy with how I look.
yeah, yeah,
So
right.
it's funny. I actually have that right here. So the
Interesting.
vision,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there's 4 different visions, but it's like,
Yeah.
I'll just read the one for the business. I'm taking the steps needed to start my own coaching and consulting company by getting back into a creator's mindset. The businesses are growing and clients are consistently inquiring as to how they can work with me. that's my
Yeah.
vision for this last year
Right.
for the business part of it.
Right.
And then there's one for mind, body, and relationships. But so it's interesting to me because I just kind of realized like I don't really I set the vision, or I define the vision, and then I set the goals as related to that, and then the daily steps to get there. And but I just don't really think of it as goal setting in the big yearly sense.
Right. 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 I almost wonder, like, if you know, if we considered ourselves pioneers of our own life, like that each of us has a new frontier we're trying to explore, right? Called our vision, our purpose, the thing we're trying to go where no one's gone before. Where each of us are headed somewhere. And at some level, when you have an ownership of where you want to go, you don't need anybody cracking a whip to tell you to go. You just go. Like, I'm headed where I'm headed, and nobody has to tell me to go there. I want to go there. And so my
Mhm.
thoughts and my relationships and my activities and things like I move in the direction of my vision as a pioneer. I don't need to set a goal. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I don't have goals, right? I'm just, to be clear, but it doesn't look like it used to look in my 20s and 30s. Like, no, I don't need a goal to manage me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think goals were a management tool for upper and middle management to make sure their subordinates were doing the things they were supposed to do to hit their KPIs. I don't need that in my personal life. I know where I'm going. I don't
Yeah,
need
and
to
I'm kind
manage
of
myself.
cracking a little bit of a smile because goals, I think, are these like, I mean, you just said it where, maybe upper management sets these goals so that they have something to reprimand you in case they need to.
Oh, right,
Um,
yeah. Paper trail.
yeah, they're making a paper trail. I mean, yeah, like I get it, where you're running a business and
Yeah.
you're in the corporate world and all that stuff, but for a real life application, like I think we find ourselves in now, because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
vision,
Right.
I do think as you and I have wrapped back and forth over the last few months, like this idea of surrendering is going to play a way, way, way bigger part this coming year. And then with everything I've gone through with my lady that did the hypnosis and all
Yeah.
of the quit drinking soda and all of that, like I mean, I've like that's a big fucking accomplishment right there. I quit drinking Coke. I
Right.
tried
Yeah.
to do that for 20 plus years, finally
There you go.
kicked
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah. Wow.
so going into this next year, that's going to play a way bigger part of just kind of going with the flow. Not saying I'm not going to have goals. I have this vision of where I want to be,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of going to let it figure itself out a little bit more than
Yeah.
I have in the
Dude,
past, maybe.
yeah. That for me has been maybe I feel like it's taken me till 2023 to be able to live that way, but I did that. I remember doing that in my early 20s before I got into business. Like, I just kind of like let life lead me, and it was and life in that time for me was very exciting time of my life. And then I got into business, and I felt way over my head, and I didn't know shit, and I felt like I had to read every book and to figure it out, and still didn't feel like I could figure it. Like, this is the first time in 20 plus years that I feel like I'm kind of like in the exciting adventure of life, the journey of life, and I'm not trying to wrangle it and manage it and submit it and subdue it or whatever. I'm like seriously just riding the wave of life,
Yeah.
and it's been very exciting. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I think we add, like as we get older and, we kind of go through what we're conditioned to do, which is go out and get a job and become successful and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like we add so many stressors to our lives. And
Yeah.
probably better than anybody, in the last few months, I've been stripping myself of these stressors as fast as I can because I want to get to the place, and I have gotten to a place pretty much where like these stressors, as far as like bills and
Yeah.
whatever it may be, like you put yourself in a better position where you kind of don't have to worry so much about being broke at the end of the month or having money to go do what you want to do when you want to do it, whatever that looks like for people. Life gets way more fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Takes a huge weight off your shoulders, and then you can start doing stuff that you want to do, stuff that is more enjoyable.
Yeah.
You're not stressed about
Yeah.
anything, really. I mean, I say anything, but
Yeah.
I don't have many stresses left in my life.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and it's been by design. Like it took me, I mean, that the hardest part was me getting rid of my vehicle. And
Mm.
that was that was an ego thing. That was a like I wanted that car for so long. I finally got it, and then I got it, and it was like, all right, this is awesome. I love it. But man, it kind of sucks because I have this huge payment now. And I mean,
Right.
maybe someday I can afford a $150,000 car and just pay cash and not have the payment.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But I think as I go into this next year that is going to play. I don't say I think, I know that feeling is going to play a way bigger part because I have kind of surrendered to
Mm.
feeling that wave. I,
Yeah.
I don't want to be stressed out all the time about stupid shit. And that stupid shit is all stuff that I've done to myself.
Yeah.
And now we get to go help other people
Yeah. Dude, this
release
is so
that.
good. When you think about the sort of, and it's not really a tagline, but just sort of the bottom line of what we've said about the Lumen Project, which is, helping men become the best versions of themselves. Like when I hear this conversation, I mean, like that's totally what this is. Like how many things are chirping in our life that aren't even ours. It's not even our we how can you be the best version of yourself then when the life you're living is a total response and reaction to the the external voices that are demanding you do something. And the more you can surrender and lean into your own vision that doesn't need to be managed. When you own your vision, you head that direction. That would be the best version of yourself. How could you? I mean, that's what we're doing. And I love that this conversation went here because we couldn't have planned this to
Yeah,
go
I know.
here, you know, but I
It's
love it.
funny.
This is good.
You said something, and then my spiritual advisor is what I'm going to
Mm,
start calling her, Angela. She said the same thing within days
mm,
of both talking to both of you guys. You both said the same thing, and it was like, God, it just left my head too.
mm.
It was along the lines of letting go, and hell, it'll come to
Yeah.
me in a second, I'm sure. But
Some kind of a surrender thing or
yeah, it was about the surrendering thing,
living
but
your life or, yeah,
damn it, anyway,
that's all right.
whatever. It's been a long day.
Whatever it was serendipitous. We said it within days of each other. That's good,
Yeah,
man.
and that was the thing where so it was about growth actually, and it
Mm,
you both said because I had told you kind of how I was feeling, and I wasn't feeling like I was feeling this weird pent up
mm,
frustration
yeah.
at a lot of things, and it was affecting my life, it was affecting job, it was affecting a little bit of everything. And you said it, and then she said it, and you said you are about you're going through basically growing pains, what we could call like growing pains is what we went through back in the day as
Right.
kids,
Right.
but you're about to experience a new level. Like
Mm,
you're leveling up. That's
yeah.
what
Yeah. Yeah.
Angela said. You're leveling up. And right now you're experiencing those growing pains because what you're about to go through and then be at that second level, like you're gonna help so many more people because you just went through this shit.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like,
Right.
yeah, that's hard to wrap your brain around in the moment when you're actually in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yay for me. I'm fucking growing and I'm gonna go help more people but I'm getting my ass kicked right now.
Right. Right.
And now that I'm on the other side of that, I can go, damn, you guys were both right.
That's
And
good.
and and boy, does it feel good to be on the other side of this. And now that I've gone through that, if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, this is what I'm feeling this weird pent up,
Uh-huh.
anxious
Yeah.
frustration. Like,
Yep.
I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, you're just going through a growing spurt. You're about to level
Yeah.
up in life.
Yeah. I recognize that. I know that
Yeah.
space.
And I think that's what you guys both meant is like she said this especially. She's like, you're gonna learn so much about yourself from this,
Mm,
and then you're gonna be able to go help so many more people because you've gone through this little weird experience that you're going through.
yeah. Yeah. It's rich, man. I love it. I call it holding space, like which would be different than like solving problems. Like there's nothing to solve for anybody. Like when you've come through something like that, I think, and then like you can't solve it for them. You can't I couldn't give you an answer because I don't know
Right.
what your answer is going to be. All I know is like you're in a good spot because you're moving through something that's going to reinvent something for you. So all I can do is hold space for you to go through it. be there to support you in it, ask you questions about it, give you my stories about my time in it. And that's it. Like, and I think sometimes before men go through that season, there's just a lot of men telling other men the quote unquote right answer. Oh, what you need is blah, blah, blah. As if you know what someone else needs.
Right, right.
You don't know. All you could the best you could do is understand the space they're in, and that they're about to move through something, and then be there for them as they do it. Be their wingman as they do it. Like that's ask questions, draw them out, but you don't have their answer. Just like
Yeah.
Jeff and I don't have your answer for how to be purposeful with your goals in 2024. We
Yeah,
don't have that
clearly,
answer.
clearly I don't.
We don't have that answer.
uh I'll sum it up. It reminds me of the
Yeah.
story of like why do buffalo run into a storm?
Hmm.
You ever heard that whole
No, I saw a company use that analogy this past year, but I don't know. I don't think I know
Yeah, so it's
the
like,
punchline.
people think a storm is coming, it's a sandstorm or a windstorm or snow or whatever kind of storm it is. It's coming, and people always want to
Shitstorm.
run. They want to, yeah, shit storm's coming. They want to run away from it, right? The storm
Right.
eventually catches you. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, if you're running this way and the storm is going this way, like you're in the storm a lot longer.
Right. Yeah. Right.
The
No doubt.
buffalo are smart enough, they just turn around and go into the storm, run at it full speed ahead, because as the storm passes,
Hmm.
they pass and it's over faster.
Wow, that's good. Nice.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn, that's genius.
Yeah, that's great. Love that.
But that's still not an answer. It's not like, if somebody came to me and they were like, I'm frustrated and this and that and this and that, I'd be like, you just need to run into the storm,
Run into the
young
storm, young
buffalo.
man.
Anyway,
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Well, this is those of you listening, this is what we're up to. Like, like Jeff and I don't have your answer, but the Lumen Project is a space. Talk about holding space. It is a space. It's a conversation. It's coaching in the sense that um and not coaching like we have your answers, but coaching like um offering and hosting conversations that start to distinguish like what would your purpose be? Where can you find clarity? And from that, starting to head in the direction of your purpose. And that's what we're up to. So if you're looking for some other dudes on a path of purpose, who are in business that want to be profitable, but want to do it in a way that isn't about selling the next thing, but about making an impact in the world, that's what we're up to. So
what we're doing.
yeah, you can go to thelumenproject.com, thelumenproject.com, LUMEN, thelumenproject.com, and click on the appropriate links there for where you need to go, and we'll connect with you there.
Yep, sounds
Thanks,
good.
Jeff.
Thank you. This has been fun. This was a good one.
Yeah, man, this is fun. I said before we hit record, it's kind of like Joe Rogan, where he just sits down and talks to people. Like we're just see where it goes, man. We'll see where it goes. But I appreciate
Yep.
the conversation, and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, guys, take care.